Hi there, good afternoon. You've tuned into ET Now. This is Market Fatapat with me, Cheryl D'Souza. And first up, before we talk about all the stocks that are buzzing in trade, let's take a look at Marico. That one came up with its numbers, and we are joined by the management of Marico, Mr. Saugata Gupta, who is the MD and CEO at the company. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Gupta. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And if I could directly start with the demand trend, if you could tell us what is the demand trend, especially when we talk about the rural demand, has it continued to be sluggish even in the quarter gone by? And are there any signs of sort of a recovery in the quarter that we are in, that is the Q4?
So if you look at rural, especially in the case of HPC, it has been sluggish for a couple of quarters, and a significant driver of this sluggishness, according to me, would have been the high inflation. Because as you look at it, when both in urban mass sometimes and in rural, whenever there is high food inflation, people tend to downgrade or titrate on FMCG products. Now that the overall inflation is much more under control, it's stabilized. I believe the crop yields are good. The government continues to invest behind rural infrastructure. We are pretty confident that the worst is over. There are some green shoots, but it will be gradual, and we believe as you go into Q4 and Q1, there will be some kind of a rural recovery.
Right, Mr. Gupta. Some FMCG companies have actually highlighted about down trading. Is that something that your company, that Marico, also has witnessed?
Two things have happened. One of the reasons down trading, or in our case, sometimes moving from branded to unbranded or to smaller brands, has also happened because of a significant pricing that had to be taken to manage input costs. Now that some of the, for example, in our Saffola and Parachute portfolio, we have taken significant price drops in line with the input cost cooling off. So I believe that people want to look at brands, and therefore that trend is likely to get reversed. So we are already seeing that in Parachute, and which happened in December when we stabilized prices. And I believe in most of the categories in FMCG will start seeing the trend as you move towards Q4 and Q1.
Right, Mr. Gupta, if you look at the volume growth, is at approximately 4% in the last 2 quarters. When do you actually see it come back to high single digit rates?
So the way we look at it is, yes, I think going forward we expect the volume growth to improve and also the earnings growth to improve, simply because of the fact that they would be, I mean, in terms of the input costs, we are seeing the softening that is going to continue YOY. As you've seen, we continue to deliver both sequential and YOY gross margin improvement, and therefore the trends will continue. I think the extent of which will depend, but definitely I see this trend continuing for a couple of quarters, definitely, and going into a FY24.
Right, and given the correction in the copra prices, margins are seeing some sort of a recovery, but is this sustainable, or do you think these levels are sustainable going ahead? And also, where do you see the margins headed in FY24?
Unless there is any more significant volatility or black swan events, we expect the margin to inch up and move into a more of 19% plus levels as we get into FY24.
So, will there be any more pricing action that the company requires to undertake?
Our job is to deliver consumer the value so that we protect volumes and market share. We have taken pricing action in terms of price reductions in both Parachute and Saffola, and should the table go down, we will correspondingly continue to take that action. But as our current trends indicate, that there will be definitely more stability as far as copra is concerned. As far as vegetable oil complex is concerned, it's very difficult for us to predict.
Right, Mr. Gupta, lastly, given the currency situation, do you expect the international business to grow at the same level?
Obviously, in some markets, there is a combination of inflation and currency depreciation. I think we have been a standout with respect to international business performance, giving predictable, sustainable double-digit growth, and we have been pretty resilient. Having said that, obviously, because of that currency depreciation, it has an impact on the aggregation in terms of the translation losses which we have. We are waiting and watching, but I think some part of our international business, there are no such issues. For example, in Middle East and in Vietnam, there are some markets which are there, but I think we have a pretty robust, business structure based on strong fundamentals, and therefore we are pretty hopeful that we will continue to deliver double-digit constant currency growth in our international business.
All right, point taken. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for joining us on the show to talk about what transpired in the quarter gone by for Marico and where do you see things headed in the year ahead. That's FY24, and that was Mr. Saugata Gupta of Marico. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Market Fatafat, and when we come back, we will get you all the stocks buzzing based on news. So don't go anywhere.